lovely to have you join us today. My name's Phil Dial. I'm the youth pastor here, and I'm joined back with Martyn after a bit of a quieter week last week. Martyn, was it nice to take your foot off the gas for a while?
Yeah, I hope so.
Good. How have you been?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yes, we've been very well. And although I'm trembling with fear and trembling,
you should.
As you come to grill me today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, over the last few months, people would have seen that we've been trying to include different people and different ages from different walks of life. So we've had teachers, we've had people from the NHS, people doing mission work, we've had young ones, we've had old. And I thought, well, shouldn't we just grill the minister?
The best looking one, after all.
Yeah, yeah. So I put it out to people to send in their questions to ask you, and that's what we're going to do today, which I think is going to be great fun. You don't at all. You're worried, which I quite like, because I think you just said it. My interview tomorrow for the LBA is happening, and I'm going to be nervous. And I thought, well, let's just put the shoe on the other foot for a minute and throw it back to you.
Good
so,
idea.
Martyn, we're going to start with a few quick-fire questions.
Yeah.
Okay, and these are questions that people haven't sent in. I just want to get you warmed up and ready. What's your favourite meal?
Steak and kidney pie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favourite drink?
Am I allowed to say red wine?
Red wine.
Merlot.
A Merlot.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, not bad.
Moderation.
Of course. And what's your favourite cake that our chef Karen makes?
Lemon drizzle. No competition.
Absolutely. Well, hands down there. I couldn't agree more. I'm not sure about the steak and kidney pie, but we can gloss over that. Okay, Martyn. I'm not going to name the people that have sent in the questions, but for their anonymity, I will try and get through as many as I can, depending on how we get along. So let me start with this one, Martyn. The first one that actually came to us. Martyn, how has your relationship with the membership of the church changed or not during the last 12 months?
Yeah, a good question, interesting question, because of course it is bound to have changed because we haven't seen one another physically as often as we would have done otherwise. So that inevitably changes things. But I think we have worked really hard, and you and me and pastoral team and others worked really hard at trying to keep the connection strong and keeping the church united and keeping the sense of availability for people out there all the time, and many people have really appreciated that. And in some ways, the relationships have got stronger as a result, which is really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I would say too that it's a relationship is a two-way thing, and there have been cases when people have kind of pulled away.
Yeah.
And not engaging or not connecting for whatever reason, and of course we respect their decision. But when that happens, however much we reach out and try to connect and be available for people, there's distance.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, we have been trying our best with communication, which has been hard with some age groups. Younger and older, I dare say, but it has been key. And I think I do feel sorry for people that maybe aren't as technically minded because they probably haven't been able to be as blessed as others by watching the service. But the next question, Martyn, I love this one. This was only sent in this morning.
Wow.
When you answered the call to come to OBC, has your vision that when you came here been fulfilled?
Right. Okay. Good question.
Did you have a vision in mind when you came to OBC?
I did actually. In the year before coming to OBC, some of people will remember this who were around. I used to come up from where we were in the New Forest and spend a little time with the deacons, particularly going through position papers on different things, on the vision for the church. But of course, it depends on where the church is, and depends upon on the church going with a vision from God. So that vision, as I remember it, was to be a united and loving church, to be a church that was blessing one another and encouraging each other. That's really, strong in relationships and in pastoral care, but also going outwards in mission to the community and the wider world. Always had that vision to be a strong, outward-looking church, to be strongly biblical based in our teaching and in our evangelical faith, and to be, and probably the most controversial one of all, and I think it comes up maybe in other questions too, more contemporary and relevant to people in this age. So I think we've made progress in every area. That I
so it's
mentioned.
an ongoing vision, I guess, is it?
But it's ongoing.
That vision's never complete, I suppose.
No, it's not. It's not complete. And I thank God for what He's done amongst us as a church and in fulfillment of that vision. But it's not complete. There's work to be done.
Absolutely.
As you said in your sermon.
Yeah, absolutely. God's got work to do. Yeah, we've got to do it
on
for
Sunday, Phil.
Yeah, amen. So let me move on to this question, because I think this could fit in with that. What changes have you seen in relation to styles of worship during your ministry, and what effects have these had?
Well, that's an interesting question too. I suppose, if you hadn't been to the church for 11 years and you came back to the church one Sunday now, you would, and this has happened sometimes, of people that have been away and have come back visiting, and they say, what's the church is so different in its worship. And I think that is true, though I hope that it's been an evolving thing rather than a revolution. And it has become more contemporary in its style. But that is along with great swathes of the Christian world, more like kind of Spring Harvest than a traditional kind of hymn prayer sandwich. I've always been keen, and I think I will be keen until the end of my ministry, to keep a kind of sense of structure rather than disorder in worship. But I do still want to be contemporary and relevant in our worship style, and to be open to God's Holy Spirit moving among us, rather than just kind of traditional for the sake of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we see more, when it comes to worship, we see more traditional worship at your bigger dates in the Christian calendar.
Yeah,
Christmas obviously
that's
is
true.
one, and Easter.
Yes.
But, at the same time, we see how God's blessed us with John over the years, and now Dan and his family, and the different styles of worship they can offer.
Yes.
But I guess the challenge with that, Martyn, and you know more than anyone, is pleasing everyone is a tough thing to do.
It is.
In the church, you've got hundreds and hundreds of people from different walks of life with different expectations and different styles of worship that they like. So we are quite varied still, aren't we?
I think we still try to keep diversity, and concentrate on pleasing God rather than pleasing people. I'm aware, of course, of people who would like to hear more organ, like to hear more traditional hymns than we have, but worship doesn't have a date stamp on it. It's what's best for today, and we thank God for those that lead us in worship now, that are so gifted. And I think the employment of John Newman back then was a key turning point in this actually, and we've continued that, of course, with Dan Cleveland, and that strong worship lead that's given us our worship team. In a full sense, is back for the first time this Sunday. Really looking forward to them being there as well.
Okay, that's great. So someone's asked, and this is a lovely question, I think. Besides walking Katie down the aisle last year, what has been your most memorable moment at OBC?
Wow.
Can you pick one?
I think walking Katie down the aisle was a very special moment for me, actually. But and I can think of lots. I can think of opening these new buildings, which was a wonderful moment and a key point in our vision as well. But the most of all thing that I remember is standing in the waters of baptism, baptizing individuals, including you, Phil.
You did, yeah.
And others I can think of their faces even now as I baptized them. I had a privilege of, and it's those key, even that when I look back on previous ministries as well, it's not the big projects or the vision statements and the fulfillment of those that I particularly remember. It's individual lives that God has allowed me to touch and bless, to see converted, to see healed, to see nurtured in the Christian life. And I have to say, it's over the time that I've been so far at OBC, it's those individual faces that I'm most proud of.
And that's what the church is about, isn't it, really? Like you say, it's not projects and buildings, as we've proved over the last year. It's the people.
Absolutely.
And when you baptise them, you can remember their faces. That's lovely. So from what's your most proudest moment, what's your most embarrassing moment in ministry? Maybe not just at OBC, but do you have a most embarrassing moment?
There have been quite a few.
I remember one of yours when you went walking with Buddy and you fell over.
Yes.
And when someone came to help and he said, "Are you all right?" You said, "Yeah, it's okay. I'm a vicar."
Yeah, that's right.
I mean,
yes.
That always makes me chuckle, but I'm sure there are many.
Yeah. Do you remember the day? Were you here when I announced Danny Brown's engagement to Emma, who is now his wife, of course?
No, I wasn't.
And Emma turned in the congregation and looked at Danny and, "Have you not told me something?" Because they hadn't been engaged at that point. So I announced their engagement a week early. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, well Danny has forgiven you, albeit he's left. I'm sure he doesn't hold a grudge.
And I remember that it wasn't at OBC, actually. It was in last church. But I remember coming to a baptismal service, baptizing somebody, and then realizing I didn't have a spare pair of trousers. And so
at least you were wearing some.
Yeah, so I was
absolutely
absolutely
going a different direction.
In the end, I went to the door in these soaking wet trousers.
Oh my goodness!
Lots of embarrassing moments. Quite a few at the door as well.
Oh, really?
Here at OBC, and I'm pretty good at remembering names and faces, but I have had times here at OBC when I've said to somebody at the door, a new friend, I've said to them, "Oh, it's great to see you. I don't think I've met you before," which is my usual line. And they say, and the person said on this one occasion, "Oh, don't you remember our long conversation last week?" So, floor opened me up.
Brilliant. So here's a question, Martyn, and I'm not going to name the person that sent it in. Why don't you do the washing up more often? I don't know who sent that.
I'm actually very good at loading the dishwasher.
Oh, are you?
I don't like unloading it, but I do enjoy loading it. In fact, I throw things in that probably don't belong there.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to say who said that, but you can choose it yourself. Now, I love this question that's come in, and you may have had time to think about it, as I have shared some of them with you. During your most challenging times in life, is there a particular Bible verse or chapter that you find great comfort in?
Wow. Yeah, I have thought about that, and there are, of course, lots and lots and hundreds of verses that are special to me at different times and different stages. I think for me, Romans chapter 8 is probably one that I return to time and again, because actually it was the first sermon I ever heard from Billy Graham. And there where it speaks about Romans 8 verse 15, it speaks about you're not given a spirit of slavery to return to fear, but you're given the spirit of adoption, and we call him Abba Father. And it was that for me when I was a teenager, realization that God was my father, who loved me, who wouldn't let me down as my earthly father had, who would always be there for me, who had an eternal purpose for my life. It was that brought me to Jesus Christ in a personal way, and that's why I often return to it, Abba Father.
That's lovely. Fantastic. So a question here that I want to ask. Do you feel the church has been more or less active with mission and activities than we would have been over the last year? So since lockdown, have we been more or less active with mission?
Well, it's changed, hasn't it? In that our regular kind of organisations and events have been put on hold largely, but it has. Nevertheless, we've been really active in outreach and mission, and I think, as I look back over this last year, actually been more active than we would have been otherwise. And I think it's because that we've been given almost this last year a clean slate to do what we feel it has been right to do, rather than just the things that we've always done, you know. And not to diminish the things that we've always done, but simply it's given us fresh focus and fresh vision for reaching out. So I do think actually this last year, and you know, Phil, that we have been really in the ministry team busier than ever before, because of this, because our focus has been outreach and mission, and we've wanted to really develop that.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think, so the next question following on from that, in the last year, do you think as a church, not so much you, but as a church, we've learned anything? And if we have, will it affect the way we operate as a church when, dare I say the words, we get back to a new normal?
Yeah, I do think we've learned more about prayer, certainly. I think, you know, this series at the moment, Growing Spiritually, is particularly apt, because I do think in this last year, many of us, and not just individually, but as a church as a whole, have grown spiritually and are growing spiritually, and I think that's bound to have an impact on the future. We've been doing a lot of thinking about what the new normal looks like, and kind of reimagining the future, because some things may not happen in the way that they have happened in the past because of all sorts of reasons, and I think we'll have a fresh focus on what is spiritual and on prayer and on mission. I think it's been interesting, really, that, you know, that church WhatsApp group that many people belong to. It's been interesting that even when a new person turns up, there's a sense of getting to know that new person, even though you've never met them, and a greater sense of community, even though we haven't been physically together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would never have thought that would be possible, but I believe it has been so.
Yeah, and I think moving forward, one thing we have learned is actually online does work.
Yeah.
And I learnt this actually when I did a Alpha catch up with Nicky Gumbel about what he's done in the last year. He said it could be more effective. And actually, with all the courses we've done at the moment, we're doing the Lent Book Club, and we've done the prayer course, marriage course, Bible course, and more to come. It gives more people an opportunity to be part of it. Yeah. And actually, we've seen numbers trebled, if not quadrupled, what we would have had we have been in the church. So I think that's been something that we've really understood.
Yeah.
And we'll probably carry forward.
And definitely we'll carry it forward. And at the moment it's the book club. We're thinking about the prayer course, Mark II, and also a new Alpha course that we want to launch as well, not just for people in the church, but for people in the community. And so, and they will all be online because it has worked, and we've proved that. And sometimes meetings can be online as well, so that people don't have to come out and things like that.
We've learned lots, haven't we? So
we have learned lots. Yeah.
Is there anything? Is the next question, Martyn? We're near the end. Don't worry. You can stop sweating. Okay. Is there anything that you would love to see the church doing that we're not already doing?
It's a good question.
Or maybe do more of.
I don't think that it's about doing more things, like opening a particular group or something like that. I think it's about a change of attitude and the development of our spiritual growth. And particularly, and I'm going to nail this one, particularly in the area of evangelism, that's sharing our faith, being confident enough to talk to family and friends about what Jesus means to us. That's an area where we still need to grow. Yeah. All of us need to grow, actually, in that area. It's what the book club is about.
Well, the current chapter, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's
really about empowering us to share us.
And it's challenging. Yeah. And I think this is for OBC is an area that we could really do well in growing more. And I hope that's going to be possible. And I'd like to build up one another's confidence in being able to share our faith more freely.
Fantastic. Martyn, let me close with this question. Whilst we always give God the glory, over your 40 plus years of ministry, what is your greatest achievement in your church life? I know we've mentioned obviously individuals and the faces you see, which could easily be the answer, but is there anything else, one single achievement that you feel really proud of?
Well, I think, again, seeing people come to Christ is got to be the top thing, and seeing them grow in Christ. That's, I tell you too, the people that I've held hands with as they've died, it may seem a strange thing to say, but actually being with people at the most extreme moments of their lives, when they're grieving, when they're dying, has been really special to me. And I think that's why God, I think, called me to a ministry, because I'm a pastor at heart. I love people and I want them to know God's love and blessing. So I would, above everything that I've done in terms of, bigger projects, bigger visions, opening church buildings, I would again kind of stress the importance of that individual growth in people's lives and knowing God's blessing in their lives, and the share that God has given me in that and in preaching His word.
That's brilliant. Sorry, one final question, and again, I don't know who it's from. Can your youth pastor have a pay rise? Anonymous, mate. I don't know who it's from.
After tomorrow, we're hoping that you are going to be our minister in training.
That would be good. That would be exciting, yes.
Because we hope very much that the London Baptist Association recognise what we recognise in you, which is God's calling to ministry, to Baptist ministry, to being a reverend, and commend you for training at Spurgeon's over the next 3 years. And during that time, you will be our minister in training, and we're really looking forward to that.
Any advice?
Always obey your senior minister.
I must work on that one. Martyn, that is Q&A over with. You can relax.
Oh, thank goodness.
We're back to normality. And thank you. That was great. And I think there's already some comments coming in actually on Facebook. People really appreciate your answers. And actually, it was something that I was really wanting to happen, because we've asked so many other walks of life, but arguably the most important is the church where we are, and for you to speak up about what you've seen and what you've found has been going on. But that's great. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
And we look forward to welcome you back to preach. Your substitute is going to take a back seat again. So we've got the first team out on Sunday. We've got the minister back. We've got the core worship group back. We've got your daughter doing an all-age talk.
Yeah.
It's all going on. We look forward to that. Other things that you want to mention, is there? Or
book club tomorrow night, as we mentioned that already, really. But that's exciting, because it talks about sharing your story with people, and whether you're on the book club or not, that's something for us to think about.
The book's brilliant.
Our story of faith and how we can share that with people.
Yeah, absolutely. So be in touch, guys. We hope you're blessed by what you've heard Martyn say today. We hope you're blessed by what goes on our Sunday mornings and throughout the week. And we reiterate what we've said all the time. We are here for you. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And we just love to engage with you and speak with
Absolutely.
you. So get in touch, and God bless.
Bless you.